All right, so I'm gonna try this again. So welcome to ConvoCourses. My name is Bruce, and every week I have a conversation with you guys about security compliance, cybersecurity topics, GRC, information security. This is for people who want to get into this career field. This is for people who want to learn a little bit more about how to get into cybersecurity and make six figures, work from home. If you have any questions whatsoever during this call, let me know. But right now, I'm going to start this off with where I ended it before, which is cybersecurity, physical security, NIST 800, uh, physical security and environmental controls. Um, I had some technical difficulties, so I had to start over again. So if you're joining me now, I'm just going to jump right back into this. All right, so I'm going to do a summary. I'm going to do a quick summary, and then I'm going to jump right back into where I was. Um, what I'm trying to teach you guys is that physical security is a huge part of cybersecurity. It's not a topic that people often talk about, but physical security is a huge part of think about it. If somebody has control of your phone, they've got you. They've got your personal property. Possibly they have access to your information. Possibly have access to your authentication methods of getting into your system. So physical security is absolutely imperative to cybersecurity. And what I want to teach you is that some of the concepts that I was taught in the military, outside the military, about protecting your physical system, protecting your organization. So what you need to have overall something called defense in depth. And what that means is you have an outside perimeter, and that perimeter is protected by controlling how people come in. Like you limit the amount of ways that people can come into your organization, and then you have to have some method of stopping them from just barging right in. So you have things like those metal bullards or those concrete slabs and things to stop cars from just rolling up on your building. And so that's all on the outside perimeter. You have lighting on the outside of your perimeter. So if you're walking outside towards your car, people aren't getting property theft, people aren't getting mugged. It doesn't stop people from getting mugged. It doesn't stop people from having a property theft, but what it does is it deters them. So a lot of security stuff on the perimeter are deterrents. Fences, like somebody can just hop a fence, even if there's barbed wire, even if it's electrical, they can find a way to get around that fence, but it's a deterrent because most criminal hackers, most thieves, they're just trying to go after the weakest target, and that's a huge point. The weakest target is what people are going after. They're going for the weakest target that they can get. This is just human nature. People want the easiest thing possible, so they're not going to go directly after the biggest dude walking around who has a gun on his hip. They're going to go after the old lady who's having trouble getting around. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing with organizations. They're not going to go directly to the main fence of a military installation that has a roaming patrol and has rifles and sensors all around it. They're going to go after a school that happens to have research information that doesn't have any fencing, has a night watchman who's not necessarily a full blown security person. They're going after weak targets. So what you want to do is have as many deterrents as possible. That's the name of the game, especially when you're talking about defense in depth, different layers of security, so that at each level of deterrence, it's making it so it's harder and harder. And after a while, they're like, you know what? Let's go for another target. There's this old saying about security that I'll never forget. And it's you only have to be as fast as the slowest person. If you're running from a bear, if you're with a group of campers and you're running from a bear, you only have to be faster than the slowest person. Think about that. So that just means that if you have any security, it's better than zero security. And with physical security, it's no different. You just have to be faster than the slowest person, because they're gonna anybody who's a predator, anybody who's is a thief, anybody who's a criminal hacker, they're going to go after the weakest person, the weakest link. They're going to go after the easiest target. It's just human nature. We do what's easiest. And that is what the nature of this thing is. So let's go a little bit more into defense in depth. So you're protecting the exterior with lighting, with fencing, with deterrence. You've got camera systems all around. You've got, and then it goes all the way till you get to your building. Your building has locked doors. It has locked windows. It has maybe alarm systems on your windows and doors and stuff like that. You have a roaming security guard. Those are all part of that. The NIST 800 goes into great detail about how each one of these security best practices needs to be done within your organization. It doesn't just talk about the physical security, having guards and having locked doors and access controls and stuff like that. It also goes into the environment, because the system's environment is super important. So that's the kind of stuff that you're going to see in the PE set of controls. The first control that it starts off with is actually PE1, which is your policy. You have to have a policy that matches some of the laws that are out there. And so that's what this is reflecting right here, a physical security policy. Physical security policy is going to be an organizational level policy that protects. It's going to say, it's going to be an overarching thing. It's not necessarily specific. It's just going to say that we need to have, this organization has physical security control of all of our computers, that our servers are in a protected environment, and it's limiting how many people, how much privilege access of people who can even come in the room. It's addressing all the environment, like it's making sure that if we're in a flood zone, that there's certain things in place to protect, to alert us to flooding in the area. If there's electrical issues in there, if there's a lot of electrical storms, we've got maybe a lightning rod on the building to make sure that all the electricity goes to grounding and doesn't fry all of our equipment. So environmental means making sure that if we live in Arizona, we live in a hot, arid environment, a very extremely hot environment. We are making sure that we have air conditioning so that the computers don't overheat and we lose functionality of our systems. These are some of the things that you would put in a policy in a very high level way. And a PE1 talks about policy and procedures. Not only policy talks about what our organization does, and procedures talk about how we protect those things. So that is policy and procedure. Going a little bit deeper into this, you got PE2, and PE2 addresses list of authorized personnel. This is super important. This is talking about access controls, physical access controls, because as you know, if a person has physical access to your system, think about it. If you were to hand somebody your phone, what can they do with your phone? You know, you might be thinking, well, not much, because I have a code on my phone. They can't do much. Well, actually they can, because what you can do with a phone is you can just take the SIM card out and you could extract all the pictures off of your phone. And that's pretty easy, because if they physically have access to your phone, you could get access to the hard drive, and there's different tools that you have out there that will just take all the ones and zeros off the storage device that's on your phone. So if you have any data that's not encrypted on that phone, you could literally just take all the ones and zeros with there's a tool called FTK. There's some free forensics tools that'll do it. There's a tool called Encase that'll do it. That one's expensive, but there's tons of free open source tools that'll do this for you, that it'll extract everything off your phone, especially if you have a SD card in your phone. So people don't usually encrypt that. So they can, at the very least, they can get your pictures off if they have physical access to your phone. The point I'm trying to make is an organization, anyone do not want to give physical access to somebody, to any organization or person or system that you don't trust. And so that's where this part comes in. PE2 talks about physical access authorization. That's what we're talking about. And this is just a list of authorized personnel. These are people who are pre-screened to make sure that these people we can trust. We have all their personal information. These people work for this organization. They have something to lose if they try to do some kind of stuff inside. So authorization credentials. These people have authorization in advance. And we monitor that list. That means when somebody leaves our organization, we will take them off the list and they no longer have access to certain facilities. So a physical access authorization is extremely important. And it's just three things. It's just a list of people. That list of authorized people have credentials. And then we review the list from time to time. That's what PE2 is. That's all what it's all about. Now, if you are not if you haven't done any kind of NIST 800 controls, if you haven't done this particular family of controls, what I'm talking about is security best practices. So this applies to ISO 27001. This applies to CIS controls. This applies to PCI controls, HIPAA controls. Like every control family has this. This is basic security 101 for physical security controls. So keep that in mind. PE2 is very basic. PE21. So this is a enhancement, what's called a control enhancement for visitors. Like if an organization has visitors that need to come to your organization, well, there's certain procedures that your organization has to have. And this stuff will be documented in your policies and procedures, by the way. Your policies or procedures will say, something like, every organization, every department within our organization must abide by our visitor control standard, which is number one, make sure that they're authorized in advance and they have to be signed off by director level, whatever. And number two, they have to have authorization that's temporary. It doesn't last forever. And they have to be put on what's called a visitor access list. Everybody who comes in, they have to sign a visitor access log. Now, you've probably seen this before, whether you work in retail, whether you work in, insurance, if you work in real estate, no matter where you work, at some point, you had to have some sort of a visitor access log that people have to sign in to say who they are, what's their contact information. And the reason why you do this is because if this person happens to be bad, they're doing something that they're not supposed to do, now you have a list of the person and what time that this person came in. They might put a fake name, a fake number, or whatever, but you know what time that person came in. Now, if they're legit, you be able to call them, because 9 times out of 10, it's an accident. Like if there's a mishap or something, they're not doing this intentionally, but maybe they came in to check the refrigeration on the AC unit and something went wrong. The system. So this visitor's log allows you to go back and say, okay, who came into this facility and what time? And then you can go back and say, okay, the AC guy, the HVAC guy came in at this time, and let's contact them and see what they did, if anything. So a visitor's log is very important. Another thing that has to happen in PE2 is role-based access. So role-based access is your normal access that you would have in any organization. This is your badging. Most organizations, most people have had some kind of exposure with badging. So PE21 is role-based facility badging. If you have a badge and you have to walk in and you scan the badge and then it allows you to come in. Well, one thing that you keep in mind for physical security controls is that that badge that you have has a certain level of access. So it'll allow you through the front doors of site 1, but maybe not site B. And then when you get into site 1, now it's going to allow you to have certain access to certain doors, but maybe not the restricted area because you don't have a need to be in that area. So PE controls, PE21 is role-based facility access. Let's keep going here. So let's go to PE22. So PE22 is having certain kinds of forms. PE22 is making sure you have two forms of, I believe this is 2 forms. Yeah, 2 forms of identification. A lot of times when you get that card, when you get that smart card, when you get that CAT card or whatever, for governments anyway, they usually enforce 2 forms of ID. And those 2 forms of ID consist of a passport, a driver's license. Sometimes they'll even take a previous PIV card. or biometrics. They have two forms of ways of identifying who you are, and that's put on the form, sometimes in the form of a chip or whatever. PE23. So PE23 is when you need access, unescorted access into restricted areas. So this one's getting more into organizations that have a restricted area, because some organizations don't have a restricted area. But if you do, if you have sensitive information that needs to be protected, then this would apply to you. There's another level of security that has to happen, to where the person has to be cleared in advance. They have to have a notice, a letter coming from the higher ups in the organization to say, yep, we know that the HVAC guy has to come on this day and this day of this month, and here's why, here's the justification, we've already done a background check, they have a need to go into this area. So let's restricted unescorted access, meaning there's strict guidelines for the person to get in, and we've already vetted this person to come in. Those are just some of the rules that you have to do for physical security. There's a lot more. Obviously, they get into environmental controls of making sure that there's emergency shutoff valves for if you have a computer control center, and all the information, all the power needs to be shut off immediately because of dangers or fires or whatever. You have a shutoff valve. That's one of the security controls. Another one would be emergency power. Like if all the power goes out, you have a blackout, all the power in the organization will come on automatically for safety reasons, especially if there's a fire in the building and people have to evacuate. That's where it becomes very important to have that. Speaking of fires, fire protection, that's PE13, and that talks about making sure there's extinguishers in the hallways, making sure that the extinguishers are accessible and you can get to those and be able to go to the areas that might need them the most. Making sure that the fire suppression systems are controlled, that you have alarm systems that will alert you if the fire goes off, smoke alarms, things like that. Environmental controls are just as important as the physical controls, because environmental, as you know, if there's flooding in there, it could destroy all the equipment. So you need to have a way to control the actual environment that the servers and the computers sit in. So that, in a nutshell, is physical security. This is something I've done for a long time. It was actually my first job in the military. I was a physical security guy, protecting planes and stuff. And so whenever I went into cybersecurity, it made sense to me. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's what you have to do. Let me see. I've got some questions here. I'm just going to open it up to any questions that you might have. And then if there's no questions, I'm going to go into YouTube and I'll go into TikTok, where I have a bunch of comments. Okay. Somebody asked me, what does PE stand for? PE stands for physical and environmental. Physical and environmental controls. Physical is, of course, the physical access, making sure that you have restrictions into locked doors, locked windows. You're not just letting everybody come up in your building. That's physical controls. Controlling physical access. Environmental is what we talked about, is like controlling the humidity. If you live in a very humid environment, like say Hawaii, and it gets so humid, it might have moisture inside of some of your systems that could destroy the equipment. Humidity is one. Water damage. If you live in a floodplain, if you live in a place where it's below sea level and there's flooding, you want to have some sort of mechanism to detect any kind of water on the floor, so it immediately alerts all the people who need to know about, okay, we need to turn off the systems. Environment also includes things like emergency shutoff valves. So like if you have flooding inside of a facility, you can automatically shut down all the systems at once. You don't want to do that all the time, because you can actually you can mess up the actual equipment. But if it's an emergency and there's flooding, you want to shut those systems off, because a computer can survive. If it's wet, if it's off, a computer, I don't know if you've ever gotten one of the older phones wet. Now you can get phones wet, but some of the older phones, it'll survive. Like even if it's wet, you turn it off real quick and just dry it, and then the electronics will work. But if it's running data through there and water gets to it, it's done. So lightning is another one. Emergency lightning, all the environmental controls, fire, anything like that. So that's the environmental piece. The environmental portion of it is just as important as the actual physical access to it, because if water, if fire, if electricity gets to it, if it's too dry even, all those things can destroy the equipment. So that's the environmental piece of it. Somebody says, can you explain how someone physically in less than 4 minutes can you explain how someone physically in less than 4 minutes uses an iPhone to get access to all? I'm not a hacker. So a best person to ask would be there's a couple of hackers on TikTok, a couple of hackers on YouTube that would be better to ask. But I can tell you, if I have physical access to it, there's things I can do to access the data. So what I would do is I would get third-party software from the internet. It's free, and then I'd plug right into that thing, and I would use that software to try to extract any kind of data that I could from your phone. There's another thing you can do to jailbreak it. You could jailbreak the phone and get root access to the phone. If I have physical access, I could jailbreak it and get access with software to your phone as well, if it's not encrypted. Now, if there's things that you can do to where I can't get it, like if you've done all your due diligence and you've encrypted the data on the actual phone, even if I get access to the phone, I can't do nothing with it because the data is encrypted. If you've set up authentication properly, it's going to be way harder for me to get access to your phone. But at the very least, I could just format it and just use it and sell it to somebody else. So I'm not the right person to ask. You want to ask a hacker or something. Let me see. I'm a network engineer. How can I break into cyber? So if you're a network engineer, I've got some very good news for you. So a network engineer, you've already done a lot of cybersecurity. A lot. So I did network engineering for a bit. I had a CCNA at one point, and I was setting up LANs. I never got to like WANs and RIP or EIGRP or what's the other one? OSPF, Open Shortest Path. But I never got that far into it. I could do basic networking stuff with routers and switches. But off the top of my head, some of the physical security stuff that you've done is backing up routers. That's one. Updating routers and switches. That's another one. Segregating networks is another one. If you've ever set up a VLAN, that's also a physical security thing. If you've ever turned on the audit logs, that's also a physical cybersecurity thing that you can put on your resume. So the thing is, Ed, you've got to put it on your resume. And now, if you are interested in how to do a cybersecurity resume, you're in luck, because I've free cybersecurity resume samples, my own included, that shows you how to word it. Now, if you want to go a little bit deeper in that, I've got a book where I break all this stuff down. I've got also free videos. Go to YouTube. I've got a ton of free videos on how to actually walk you through all this stuff. But if you're serious, go ahead and get my book. It's in the link in description, link in bio. Check it out. It's like, I don't know, $15 or something like that. Get that book, and it'll walk you through how to actually find the keywords that you need to get into cybersecurity. But you're in luck. If you've been a network engineer, you have definitely done cybersecurity. What roles should I look for? Network security engineer is what I would do. So network security engineer is what I would do, is because the reason why I would do a network security engineer is because you're already in line with it. And then you could basically get yourself a job making way more money because you've got all of the hard part is done. As a matter of fact, the job I work for, I got offered this other job doing network security architecture. And I was like, well, I looked through that, said, hey, just send me the job description. I'll take a look at it. And I looked at it, and it was all like stuff I hadn't done in years, like a lot of networking stuff. Like you could probably qualify for that job because they were asking me to they said that I have to have some Palo Alto experience and maybe some. They listed a bunch of firewalls and said if you have any of these firewall experience, if you have this is preferred. They want to be able to come to you and ask about firewall rules or ACLs or something like that. And I'm like, man, I haven't done that in a long time. If somebody's asking me a very technical question on a specific device or vendor, I have to Google it. But let me show you what I would do. I'm going to walk you through what I would do as a network, and you guys can just follow along with me if you like. I'm going to show Ed exactly what I would do if I was in his position or if I was in your position. So let me just set everything up here. Bear with me for a second. I'm going to show you guys my screen, and I would do this, Ed. Let me just give you an example of what roles that you can do. Let's go to LinkedIn. And if you guys didn't know, I have a LinkedIn account. You guys can join me here. I've got so many messages, and I apologize. But if you can join my network and stuff like that, and ask me direct questions on here. And whenever I go on here, and every now and then I'll answer questions. Anyway, this is my profile. First of all, what you want to do, Ed, is completely fill out your resume. Fill out your resume. Fill out this profile. Completely fill it out. Okay, you don't have to go crazy and post stuff every other day like I do. I mean, that's just insane. But at the very least, you want to fill out all this, like your about page, how to contact you, all of your experience in there. You can literally upload your current network engineering resume, and it's going to market itself for you. But here's what I would do, Ed. What I'm typing in here is network, if I could spell, network security engineer. Let me show you. And this is in jobs. And you'll see all these different positions, right? And what I want you to take note of is how many different names that they have here. And the reason why this is important is because you need to know like the names of the actual jobs is irrelevant, to be honest with you, because organizations can name these whatever they want. So for me to just say, oh, you should do just network security engineer, that's like one title in a sea of titles. Like, check this out. All I did was typed in network security engineer, and we've got industrial systems engineer, which has nothing to do with what we're talking about. We've got senior network system engineer. We've got lead engineer in IT security. You've got information security engineer. You've got lead information security engineer. You've got senior network security engineer. I use network security engineer because this was the most generic one that I could think of. But let's just check out what a senior network engineer, what are they required of you? Well, what do they want you to do? So they want you to have a good understanding of these types of firewalls, right? And don't worry if you like, well, I don't know Fortinet. I don't know Fortinet. I don't know ASA firewalls. I don't know, there's literally thousands of jobs that you can go through. All right. I'm just using this one as an example so that you can have an understanding what these employers are looking for. So that's the most important piece. So they're looking for a proxy. If you've ever done web proxies, if you've ever done remote VPNs, if you actually have technical experience with this stuff, you actually have a huge advantage over most people. Look at this. Bonus skills, network security automation, Cisco switching routing. I'm sure you've done this before. A little bit of scripting and Python. If you've never done scripting before, it doesn't matter. This is a bonus skill. They just want you to know this basic stuff. Zscaler, NetScaler, F5, load balancers, So let's keep going here. Principal network system engineer. Look at this one. So mostly this is networking stuff. That what they really want you to know is some networking stuff. Well, not this one. IDP. Let me see. No, not that one. That's a bad example. Let me see. Let's find a couple good ones here. Senior security architect. This is usually somebody with like 10 years of experience. So let's go. If it says senior, then that's usually like 10 years, you know, of experience. But look at this one, cybersecurity engineer. Now, you got to ask yourself why we typed in network security engineer. Why is it coming up with a cybersecurity engineer? Because they're asking for a bunch of networking stuff. Look at this. TCP/IP. You know TCP/IP, right? You got to put this on your resume. This is the kind of stuff that you need to put on. They're literally telling you the answers to the test here because they're telling you what they want to see on their resume. You just put this stuff on your resume and then they will start contacting you. Now, you may not have SIEM experience, but what you do have is TCP/IP networking protocols. What you do have is, you know, all these different layers and how they interact with one another. You know, and you may have also done cybersecurity threat and intelligence before, but you just don't know what you've done. So the key here is to put all the security things that you've done in your resume. If you do that, you'll start getting picked up for different jobs. Now, if you want to know like what types of things you should put on your resume, okay, I got you. Check this out. So what we're gonna do, if you go to, there's a couple places you can go to, but one of the easiest ones that I talk about in my book, I want to, let me see if I can bring my book up here in a second. This is all stuff I talk about in my book. But if you wanted to know, okay, hold on. Let me pay some bills real quick. Amazon, let's see. Amazon. If you go on my link, my link is in the description in the bio, but I'm creating a series called cybersecurity jobs. Find cybersecurity jobs. And let me show you what I'm talking about. So this book right here, I'm going to show you exactly what I do, right? I got to pay some bills real quick. So here's the book right here. If you guys are interested, for those of you who are serious, this book right here breaks down how to get in this. I wrote this book, how to get into cybersecurity jobs, resume marketing. So that's what I'm talking to you about. I'm talking about how to market yourself. You can literally use this same concept with any career path, but I'm telling you how to do it specifically for cybersecurity because this is what I've been doing for years. And so one of the things I show people how to do is how to use this control family right here. And you can do this with any control family, by the way. And this security control family, CIS 8, breaks down all the control family. Let me see if I can find a better CIS V8. You'll see what I'm saying in a second here. Yeah, here we go. So this right here, let me find a clearer picture of it. Yeah, here we go. So this right here is talking about each one of the security control families that you need to put on your resume. If you've done any of this stuff before, it needs to be on your resume. What do I mean? Inventory and control enterprise assets. So this is not something that you hear talked about. You know, when you hear cybersecurity, it's always, oh, hacking this and hacking investigations. And that's all that's popular right now in the media as far as cybersecurity. But this right here, this list is some of the basic practices that every organization needs to protect their stuff, including physical security, which is not even listed on here. I'm just noticing. Yeah, I mean, I think they integrate it into like access control management. It's in there somewhere. But inventory and control of enterprise assets. That means making sure that the organization has a list, a hardware and a software list of all equipment. So if you've ever had to help manage the equipment, your routers, your switches, and made sure that the legacy stuff is out of there and the new stuff is in there, then that's part of this. You want to put that on your resume. They have that one for software and hardware, by the way. Data protection. If you've ever had to set up VPN connections, if you ever had to set up encryption, if you've ever had to set up a secure FTP, which is stuff that you might have to help with in an organization for network security, network engineering, You want to put that on there. Audit log management. If you've ever had to turn on or enable the logging or send the logging to a particular place, that's another thing you want to put on your resume. And so audit logging is super important. It's super important, and nobody talks about this. Audit logging is used for several different things. So audit logging is used for, it's used for not only troubleshooting a system. Like, think about it. Whenever you've troubleshot a switch or server or whatever, you have to go to the logs to see, okay, where did this thing stop? So that's one of the things that you use an audit log for. Another one would be if somebody attempted to hack the switch or do something they're not supposed to do on the router. You would look in the logs to see, okay, what time and from where did this other system or person try to get into our network? That's audit logs. So you literally can't do hacking without audit logs. You can't do audit logs is basically telling you what's going on. You know, it's telling you exactly what's going on. Okay, let me see. All right, I kind of beat that one into beat that dead horse. Let me see if there's any other questions. Well, okay, we talked about what roles. Thank you, brother. What company? I've worked for Verizon before. I've worked for NASA. I've worked for Department of Defense. Currently, I don't know if I'm able to say what I'm working for now. I don't want to get in trouble. I like doing content, and I don't want them to be like, "Hey, you can't talk about." It's not like I'm talking about anything in particular. I just don't. I want freedom, so I'd rather not talk about it. Let me see. Wow, I'm familiar with the skill. Exactly. Yeah, you've done it before. You just have to put it. You just have to put it on your resume, Ed. That's what it comes down to. Once you put it on your resume, man, like if you like I said, download my resume. If you go to my profile, it's free. Download my resume, or you can even go to my LinkedIn page. It's just Bruce CISSP RMF, and you'll find my resume on LinkedIn. And look at how I did it and my keywords, all that kind of stuff. It's all publicly available. Take a look at all that stuff, and then look at how I word it. Look at what I'm putting on there, and then do the same thing. Like, if you've done auditing, of course, you're not gonna word for word copy the stuff I have. It wouldn't make sense. But paraphrase it in terms of what you've done. And if you do that, yeah, you put that on your resume. Yeah, you're gonna get job offers. Is there any company that you recommend? I recommend any company not any particular company. I recommend a company that's going to pay you. So I do it reverse. So I'm not looking for any, like a lot of people, they're like, I want to work for Google. I want to work for Facebook. As you can see, they're not doing too well right now. I want to work for Twitter. They're not doing too well right now. And the truth of the matter is, like, what's going on with IT is that we're having a shift right now. We're having a recession, and a lot of stuff is happening right now to where we're having a recession. It's not, the economy's not good, and so those companies who have had great stock in the past, they're taking a hit, and as a result, I think Twitter the other day laid off 11,000 people because Elon Musk is losing his damn mind. He's become the chief troll in charge right now, and I don't know what the hell he's doing, but it's not going well for the stock, and there's already a recession, so it wasn't good in the first place. But Facebook, Meta's not doing too good because they're doing this huge shift to try to go into another dimension, and then the economy's not doing well. So I personally don't focus on any one organization. I follow the money. And what I mean to say by that is that I market myself so that the companies will come to me. So the best company is the one that's going to pay you the best. The best company is the one that's going to treat you the best. So that might not be Meta. That might not be Google. That might not be Cisco or whoever's paying $200 billion to employees. You know, it might be an organization down the street from you. It might be an organization that's located in another state. You know, most of my offers are coming from organizations in other states. What's your LinkedIn again? Oh, my LinkedIn. Here, let me show you. If you guys are interested in joining me on LinkedIn, so you can check out my LinkedIn page, I highly encourage you to copy what I do, not just look at what I say. Copy what that's one of the tricks I use. I'll find a guru and I'll listen to them, you know, but I watch what they do. It's like, what is this guy doing? You know, oh, he's doing live. So that's how you do it. And then I'll start doing it. Watch what they do, not what they say. That goes for all the people. And I'm encouraging you to do what I do. Download my resume, use it. And if you're interested in doing exactly what I do, let me know. I can help you out. Here is my LinkedIn page. Let me see if I can put in the actual link for you guys. Bear with me here. I'm on this new system here. I'm gonna see if I can put this in there. Let me see. How do you do this? Banners? Yeah, let me add a new banner here. Create a banner. Put that. Boom. Delete that part right there. And then I'm going to add this to the screen. There we go, right there. So if you're on YouTube right now watching me, there's my LinkedIn page right there. It's my LinkedIn is okay for you guys on TikTok. Let me just switch this. It is Bruce space CISSP space RMF. If you type that in, you will find me. You'll find me. There it is right there. If you guys can see that on LinkedIn, just Bruce. If you go to Google and type in Bruce space CISSP space RMF, you'll find me. Or if you type in RMF ISO, RMF space ISSO, you'll also find me there. So there I am right there. And copy. I highly encourage you to copy my resume, look at how I do it and put that on there. Let me see. The blockchain is where much of the information will go, from my understanding. Cloud is still, I think, a blockchain I think is like 5-6 years away. I think blockchain is about 5 or 6 years away. It's very exciting. It's already being tested out by different large organizations. Multi-billion-dollar organizations are starting. Trillion-dollar organizations are actually already looking into how they can use it effectively. Walmart, I believe, has their own blockchain. A couple banks are doing it now. They're actually using, because blockchain doesn't necessarily mean cryptocurrency. There's a lot of different use cases for blockchain. And I think that blockchain is about 5 years away from being used as extensively as cloud computing is right now. It's that effective, it's that useful, and it's more secure. It's a more secure environment for computing. It's way more secure. It's immutable, which means you can't take back the information that you put on there. You can't come back and change data. Like, it's all in there, and it's in a publicly available ledger. So blockchain is definitely going to be huge. I did a whole video about this where I broke down all the most secure things about why I think that it's going to be as big or bigger than cloud. So it would be huge. Anybody who's watching this, especially if you're an IT person, I would definitely look into learning about the blockchain so that you can be ahead of the curve, to just at least understand like what it is and not just jump on the hype train of cryptocurrency. You know, and I love cryptocurrency, but it's not the only game in town. It's not the only thing going on, and you don't want to just jump on the fear of missing out so to speak. Like you don't want to just because it's popular, you don't want to just jump on the bandwagon. For me, I'm trying to learn it so that I can see it kind of creeping up, and so I need to like understand it enough to know like why you would want to use it and what's this thing all about, kind of thing. That's kind of where you want to be at with it. Let me see. It's still in its infancy. It is, yeah, it is. It's very reminiscent for those of you, for older people like me who saw the birth of Web 2.0. It's very reminiscent of like what happened when actually, if you were around during the 1990s when websites first start blowing up. I don't know if you guys remember this, but in 1993, 1994, when McDonald's first started messing around with having a web page, 1980, 95. Did I say 80s? 1995, 1994 time frame. Nobody had, like, there weren't a lot of organizations with web pages out, and they were just talking about it. And then they were just talking about email. Now, this is crazy. Nobody understood how email worked. They didn't understand how web pages worked. It just didn't. And then I couldn't even wrap my head around it. I'm like, what? It didn't make any, it just was so foreign. And that's kind of how blockchain feels right now. It feels the same way. And it's because it's so big. Blockchain is so huge. Like it has so many use cases way beyond the internet itself. It's so deep. Like there's so much going on with it, and it's not just money. This is something that can literally change every aspect of humanity. The more I know about it, the more I'm like, this is crazy. This right here could change everything. In the same way the internet has slowly over the years changed humanity. We have been completely changed. Humanity will never be the same because of the internet. Humanity would never be the same without the internet and without our phones. We're different. We're going to be a different species because the phone and the internet. And blockchain is going to be another iteration of that. It's going to change us for the better or for the worse. And there's going to be some great things about it, and there's going to be some bad things about it. Just like with anything, just like with the internet, just like with phones, just like with social media, same thing. Exactly. And it's now blockchain. Exactly. You can clearly see that it's a more secure way to compute. We have a huge problem with privacy, and it's because the internet, the basic structure of the internet is made the way it's made. It's hard to, an example. If you own a home, or a business right now, if you Google your name and your home, if you just Google your address, you can find your name. If you Google your name, if you go to Google and type your full name in and the city, you can find what houses you've lived in, people that are associated with you, your family members, your ex-partners you were with, your current partner you're with, your old phone numbers, all this stuff. And it's because governments will just dump all, and corporations, they have full control of our data. And so they sell it to other people. They put it out publicly. There's no checks and balances for them. They try to do it. Like there's GDPR, which is in Europe. There's California has their own privacy thing, but those are just regulations. People can literally do whatever the hell they want with your information. Blockchain allows it so that you could have a structure where you could literally sell your information to people. You can control your private information because of blockchain. Blockchain will make it so that you have a public key and a private key of your private information. It's amazing. It can literally change everything. And that's just one use case where you could actually have a business, have a home, have it publicly listed, sell your house, do all this kind of stuff, and still have privacy. That's what blockchain will allow you to do. You can still have privacy with five. You have, let's say you have 5 LLCs, right? If you have a business, let me tell you something. If you have a business, if you have an LLC, if you have a C corp, if you have a corporation, if you haven't done your due diligence, your publicly available information is out there right now. It'll have the phone number of your business, it'll have the location of your business, your full name, anybody associated with that business. It'll have everything out there. And it's just because society doesn't, we don't really have a infrastructure to protect your personal information. And because of that, if you own a home, your deed of trust is out there. They can tell what lands you own, who's on the deed of the home. That's what, have you ever thought, like, how in the hell do they know I have a card to tell me that I need a warranty? How the hell do they know my number and my name when they call me, and they know what house I'm in, and they know the value of my home? They know, how do they know so much? It's because this structure that we have just puts your information on the internet. They just put your information on, they just put it. I cannot tell you how crazy this is as a cybersecurity person. Because especially doing what I do. Like, I've been doing this for years. There's been a couple times when I went viral. Not on this channel, but some stuff on this channel have gone viral. And there's about 0.001% of people who are out of their minds, violent, crazy. They are living a different world. And I mean, they are not okay. And they'll track you down and find me. They'll find me. Have you ever heard of these YouTubers who a fan shows up at their house? And it's because all the data is publicly available information. It's because of the internet. And we don't have an infrastructure to protect people like you and me. The blockchain would allow infrastructure to be put in place where you can literally have your own business. You can have a house. You can have all this stuff. You can sell that stuff. You can buy that stuff, but you can actually do it privately. You can protect all your private information, but you can do all the publicly available stuff that you need to do. The reason why you want to list your house is because what if you want to sell your house? What if you want to rent your house out? What if you want to have another organization take over your house? Well, all of that stuff takes a lot of trust. And for you to have that level of trust, they have to have access to your personally available or your personally identifiable information. They have to know that you're a real person. They have to know like where you live. They need to know your phone number. They need to know, like, all those things are important because you're making a large deal, right? You're dealing with hundreds of thousands of dollars. So of course the bank needs all this information. The mortgage company needs all this information, but what do they do with it? They take it and sell it to another organization for money. But blockchain would allow it so that you can have it's kind of like PKI. If you guys understand PKI, you have a public key and a private key. The public key is accessible to everyone. Everybody can have it. You could give it to a hacker. They can't do nothing with the public side of that key. The private key, you keep it. You don't show that to anyone. It's like a password. But those two keys, the public key and the private key, are linked so that whatever happens to your public key is linked to you own that public key. But if somebody does something bad with it, you can just drop it, get rid of it, and make another public key. Blockchain allows that to happen with publicly available information. It allows you to do that with public and private information. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And that's just one use case for blockchain. Blockchain can do governance and allow you to have control over different lands, and you'd be able to protect your birth certificate information. Blockchain allows you to, what are some of the other use cases that you could do with blockchain? It's decentralized if it's done correctly, so that I could have a peer-to-peer connection with Mia Booker. Me and Booker and I could have a completely private transaction and transfer $100,000 for $5. We could spend $5 and send $100,000 back and forth. You can't do that right now. If you try to send it, let's say Mia is in Japan and I want to send me, not Japan, let's say Djibouti, somewhere else, like somewhere it's that's hard to that's unbanked. So if I want to send $100,000 to Mia Booker in Djibouti, how are we going to do it? If we have an internet connection and we have blockchain access, if we have access to the blockchain, you can. There is a way to do it with the blockchain. With the internet, not yet. There's no infrastructure on top, but the blockchain would allow us to send $100,000 between us, not with the government involved, just between us, and that's how it should be. Yeah, blockchain is something that you should definitely look into. I know there's a lot of drama going on with I don't know, FTX just collapsed because some dude did a Ponzi scheme. There's what else is there's so many things going on with cryptocurrency right now. It's embarrassing. But that's not the only thing that blockchain allows. Cryptocurrency is one fragment, one tiny aspect of what blockchain can do. There's so many use cases for it that protect people like us. And that's why I'm so excited about it, because the use cases for it are so amazing. There's so many other things that can be done with it, and it's very exciting. And these are problems that we have in our society that it's just going to get progressively worse. I personally think hackers are going to start targeting individuals at some point. At some point, hackers are going to start targeting direct. Right now, have you noticed like what's happening is they started off with big targets like military installations. They're still going after military installations. You know, like federal organizations are still getting hacked, but federal organizations are getting really smart about it and being very paranoid. So they're becoming a very hard target. So now what you've noticed is most of the hacks are going down a level to companies, smaller companies that interact with the military. Now they're attacking them because they're a softer target. In cybersecurity, in security in general, you only have to be faster than the slowest guy. So they're going after the soft targets, and they're getting successful at it. But now those soft targets, those second tier organizations that are working for the government have gotten smarter too, because the government's like, listen, we're not doing no business with you if you don't have some of the NIST 800 controls applied. I can't remember what they have their own set of controls they have to do, and it's like a light version of NIST 800. But anyway, the government's like, look, we're not doing no business with you unless you do these security controls. If you do these security controls, okay, here's your multi-million-dollar contract. You know, we'll do business with you. But those targets are getting smarter, and now they're going to like schools, they're going to hospitals, they're attacking like the Colonial Pipeline. They're attacking like all these soft targets, and those targets eventually are get smarter and smarter, and the budgets for the security features on those organization systems are going to get better and better and better, and then they're going to start going after people. That's what I think. They're going to start going after individuals like us, like you and I, and we're going to have to harden our hole. But the problem with that is our data is all over the internet. If you go to Google right now, this is going to terrify you. Go to Google and type in your full name and the state, not even the city. Type in your full name and the state that you live in. It's going to terrify you. It's absolutely terrifying how much information that our local government puts out on us. And maybe I'm paranoid because I'm a cybersecurity guy, but I don't think I'm paranoid. I think that just Google your name, you'll see what I mean. Just put your full name in Google, and then put the state that you're in. What I saw was my spouse, I saw my family members, I saw the last 5 places I lived, I saw some of my old phone numbers in there. I saw there is a way to take some of the stuff down. There's a couple of services that will take it down for you, and things like that. It's just, I just think that eventually state funded and very advanced hackers are going to start going after individual people and saying, look, I have access to all your information. I have your social security number. I know that your daughter lives in this state. I know that you listen. I'm going to send this picture of you that I found over to your employer if you don't give me X amount of money. And I want it in Monero. Send it to me in Monero. Send it to me in Bitcoin, right? Send it to me in whatever Ethereum. All I want is $5,000. Send me $5,000 of Ethereum, and I won't send this data over to your employer. I know you need this job. I think that it's going to start happening a lot more. That's already happening. It's called ransomware, but I think it's going to become more and more advanced, and I think it's going to start targeting individual Americans, especially because Americans have money. We're doing okay. It's already happening. Yeah, it's a lot. Also due to many data breaches. Yes, exactly. Another thing you can do is go to what's that site? It's called Pond. Everybody, okay. Let's pause what we're doing. I want everybody to do this. This is gonna blow your mind. What is that site called? If you haven't heard of this site, it's some of you guys. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. It's called Pawn Passwords. It's so crazy. I won't do this one live because if it's gonna this one is terrifying, man. Everybody, listen to me. Listen to me. This is going to change your life. Okay, this is going to terrify the hell out of you. If you don't know, you probably already know what I'm about to do. Okay, and I see you guys' comments. I just want to show you guys something real quick. Just whatever you're doing, put it on pause. You got to try this. This is going to terrify you. If you haven't done this before, this is a hell of a thing to do. Okay, so check this out. So what side am I on right now? Do this in private. Do not do this publicly, because this is terrifying right here. I'm about to blow your mind. Okay, go to this site right here. It's called haveibeenpawned.com. This is the site right here. If you're watching me on YouTube, on Facebook, if you're watching me on TikTok, go to this site right here. This is called here's the site name right here. Oops. Oh, look how it already. Oh, that's passwords. Okay, we want to go to domain notify me. The email one is the one I want. Home. Let's go home. Yeah. So you'll put your email here. This is the one right here. This is it right here. You got to do the passwords. Even scarier, to be honest with you. Yeah. This right here is going to terrify you, because Mia just brought up a great point. This is the site right here. Have I been pawned? This is the site. haveibeenpawned.com. Go to this site right here. Let me switch cameras. This right here this will change the way you think. This is the site. Have I been pawned? And then type in your email. Do it in private, because the stuff you're going to find is going to terrify you. These are all the sites that you put your own email or phone number in, and these sites have been hacked. So you didn't do anything wrong. The site got hacked. The site that you went on, if you've ever been on Sony PlayStation, if you've ever been on even some reputable sites, if you've ever done some of the DMVs got hacked. Some of the if you're a federal worker, some of those sites have been hacked. Put your email in there and then see what it comes up with. Yeah. Yep. You got to change those passwords. That's all I'm trying to say. Just change your password. That's what you got to do. If you're not using the accounts anymore, get rid of it. Yeah. Serious, man. It's real. It's real out in these streets. Oh my God. It's terrifying, man. It's terrifying. Just imagine being a celebrity. I bet they're getting hacked 24/7. You know, celebrities are getting attacked 24/7. They're going to be the first ones to get mass hacked back to back because people can. Okay, let me see. I got a question here. Bella said, excuse me. How to assess blockchain technologies or controls? How do we validate the effectiveness since Rev 5 is focusing on it? Okay, seems like two different things here. How do you assess blockchain technologies or controls? Well, I can talk about assessing a control in general. I'm not smart enough on blockchain to know specifically how to assess a blockchain asset or a blockchain network or something like that. I know that there's assessors who specialize on blockchain, and like a lot of your DeFi organizations are having to do assessments specifically on to check the solvency of their software. I know that that's happening, but I'm not involved with that at all. I don't know how to do that. I'm not sure how. I know that they look at the code and they'll look at smart contracts and things like that. I don't know if that's the question that you're asking, but I can give you an idea of how to assess the effectiveness of Rev 5 controls because I've done that for quite some time. So that's security control assessor. That's SCA work. And let me give you a breakdown. So SCAs, an SCA assessor is somebody who assesses or evaluates the effectiveness of a security control for the NIST 853. And what they're looking for is, we were talking about physical security controls earlier. So they'll look at things like they'll do something simple, like you'll just drive up to the site and the first thing you're doing is observing, like, what do they have lighting? Do they have camera systems out on the campus? Do they need them? Do they have a fencing area? Do they need fencing? Does the fencing have, if it needs it, does it have barbed wire on the top? In their policy, do they address that they have a fence, but they don't have a fence? Sometimes they'll say, oh, yeah, every site will have a fence, and then they won't have a fence at a certain site. So that particular control has not effectively been implemented. So one of the things that you do as an assessor is you're looking at their policy. You're looking at their policy, their security policy, and you're saying, okay, you said that you did this, and then you're observing on whether or not they did that. That right there in a nutshell is security control assessing. And you're doing that with different methods. One of the methods you're using is observation. The other one is testing. Like, that's where you get on the system, say, okay, they have password. Let's see if they use an 8-character password. You literally create a 8-character password and see if that's, or they're using a 14, but they actually are using 8. You could test that in the environment. So you've got observation, looking at your surroundings or documents or whatever. You've got testing, literally getting on there, and then you've got interviews. So those are the 3 methods that you would use to actually assess the effectiveness of any control in any family. But let me show you a really good source that you can use for assessing controls. And again, this doesn't necessarily focus on blockchain technology, but any kind of control. It's very generic. And at some point, NIST V6 or V7 will specifically address blockchain, I'm sure, and AI. That's another big one. But for now, you can go to NIST 800-53A, and 53A will break down everything you need to know about security controls and how to assess them, and see how effective they are. This tells you everything that you need to know. Now, this is not easy reading. This is a reference document. It's extremely exhaustive. It goes into excruciating detail about every single control, of which there are over 1,000. This is not an easy read by any stretch of the imagination. And that's why I'm writing a book about this one and creating a course that's in progress that breaks all this down in a simplest form to make it so that anybody can do this. So yeah, here it is right here, and it's literally telling you what to do and how to conduct the assessments. How this reads is like a PhD. It's for a PhD student. It's like it's not easy reading, unfortunately. So yeah, but that's one of the documents you can use. Another one is 800-115. But those are the main documents right there that you can use to actually validate the effectiveness of security controls. I hope that helps. All right, let me go back to my regularly scheduled programming here. Okay, I've got some questions here, and I won't hold you guys too long. Let me just see if there's any really good questions here. This guy gives me anxiety. Blowing my mind again, showing me something I don't. Yeah, man. I mean, it's terrifying. I'm sure there's an assessment tool. Yeah, there's an assessment tool for doing blockchain technology. There's like whole techniques being developed right now. I'm trying to think of some off the top of my head that are used, and this is kind of something I should probably know. Man, there was what was that site? There's actually a site that assesses. Oh man, I mean, there's a DeFi. If for those of you guys who are in cryptocurrency, there's a DeFi site that evaluates whether or not there's going to be a rug pull on certain. This is kind of off the beaten path, but what is that site called? It just keeps popping in my head, and I'm at a loss to figure out what the name of it is. DeFi Score. This is a more popular one. Evaluate DeFi sites. DeFi crypto. And this doesn't necessarily cover all blockchain technology, so I don't know if it would be. Damn it! What site is that? You guys know what You guys probably have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, huh? There's a site that evaluates the effectiveness of DeFi, and it's really good. I've used it before. I'm not super deep in the cryptocurrency. DeFi Pulse, is this what it is? No, this isn't. This isn't. This might have something on it. No, crypto, Uniswap, no. Anyway, I'm kind of going off the beaten path on this, so I'll stop. I'll stop. Okay, let me see. Somebody said my number came up. Thank goodness. My number came up clean. Thank goodness. Yeah, check your email accounts. Check your email accounts. Let me see. Yes, my email had 3, but they're old breaches. Yeah, good job. I use my VPN. I just checked. My numbers are clean. Shock, 2 old breaches. Yeah. Yep. Let me see. All right, guys. I think that's it. Thank you guys for joining. I really appreciate it. Yeah, if you're interested, you can follow me on LinkedIn. You can follow me if you happen to be on TikTok. Link in description. YouTube is where most of my content is posted. Got tons. I've got like literally years worth of content that's free. If you are interested in going deeper with me, go to ConvoCourses.com. If you didn't know, if you're not interested in spending money on ConvoCourses.com, you don't have to. I got tons of free stuff there. I also have a book out on Amazon if you're interested. If you like to read, if you like to consume information that way, I've got some information on how to. I've got a really good breakdown of how to do information system security officer work. So if you're interested in this, I've got some books out there for It's so good that somebody literally took my book and stole it. That's how good my book is. That's impressive. Look at this. Somebody stole my entire idea and is selling it. But yeah, that's how good this is. That's telling you something. When people steal your stuff, that's when you know it's good. But yeah, so I've got books out there. If you're interested, check them out. I've got if you don't like to read like me, I prefer to listen to books. I listen to a lot of books. I'm a huge fan of audiobooks. These books are on Audible, and they're much cheaper on Audible because they're short. They will be bundled at some point, and I'll add more information on them and things. It's a series. It's a running series that I have. So if you I put most of my books, I put them on audio because that's the way I consume a lot of information because I'm always on the go. I'm always doing something. So if you're interested in audio books, then here they are right here. Just go to Audible and then type in Risk Management Framework. I also have these for the cybersecurity job books. Cybersecurity. I'm a huge fan of audiobooks, so I do these quite a bit. So I always make sure that my books are on audio. Yeah. So this one is also on audio. So if you're looking for a job and trying to get into cybersecurity, this is also an audio book. Much cheaper than the other books. If you've never been on audio before, it's actually free to get this book if you're signing up for the first time. But if you already have an Audible account, then it's like, I don't know, $4, $8, something like that to listen to the book. And I've got more books coming out here soon. If you're interested in getting a job and you kind of have a great idea about it, and you're an IT person, but you're trying to get into cybersecurity, one of the things you can also do is just download my free sample resume. And that sample resume is a great example of how to write. Okay, look, I make 6 figures, right? It's not even a big deal to me anymore. I've been working from home since 2014. I'm constantly offered jobs, and the reason why is because I market myself effectively. And so all I'm doing in the book is telling you how I've done that. And it's a short book. It's less than 200 pages, I believe. And it just goes straight to the point. It's not wasting any time. It just goes straight to the point to explain what you need to put in there. And there's a downloadable free copy of some from sample cybersecurity stuff. This is for people who are in one field and trying to get into cybersecurity, or in IT and trying to get into cybersecurity. This is especially for you. So that being said, let me see. Never share great ideas for business or work books. People steal them. It's happened to me twice. Well, that's the price of playing, I think. I think that I was upset when I first saw it, but I'm just thinking to myself, I've got so many other ideas. I've got so much stuff going on that the value is going to come from this. How can they repeat this? Right? The value is in my audience. That person doesn't have my audience. So the fact that you guys, that we can talk, that we have an interaction, that we have this connection, that's something that they can't repeat. They can repeat my book. They can literally copy my book, sell it, right? But it's not going to have my name on it. So, and I've got so many other ideas and so many other things that I want to do. I'm not going to waste my time with being worried about who's going to steal my idea like that. I have to keep moving. You know what I mean? So that's how I feel about it. And I have such a passion for this, of putting out the information, that I can't stop. If it will drive me crazy to keep these ideas in my head and keep this stuff inside. Somebody is going to take the information I'm giving them, and it's going to completely change their life. And that book is there long after I'm dead. Those ideas are there long after I'm dead, and somebody's going to take that book, and it's going to absolutely change their whole life. And that's why I do this, is because one person's going to read it and do what I said in the book, or use my resume, and it's going to change their life. It's going to help their kids. It's going to affect them in a way that guy who copied my book won't be able to do. So yeah. Okay, I'm going to steal it then. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate everybody. Take care of yourselves. I will try to do a video. I can't promise anything, but I will try to do one tomorrow. I've got a whole bunch of stuff I got to do and stuff. So just keep posting. If you want to follow me, go to YouTube. Follow me on TikTok. Follow me on podcasts. I have a podcast. Follow me on there. That's where all this information goes. So that's it, guys. I'm out.